What if I told you that some of the TV shows that defined our childhoods were also the most scandalous? These weren't just entertaining series. Many sparked heated debates, shattered taboos, and rewrote the rules of what was acceptable on television. From outrageous storylines to characters who didn't care for societal norms. These 12 shows pushed boundaries in ways that left a lasting impression. Love them or hate them, they challenged the status quo and changed TV history forever. Now, let's dive into the most controversial TV shows of the 80s that made us laugh, gasp, and question everything along the way. Number 12. Married with Children, 1987 to 1997. Kicking off our list is Married with Children, a show that didn't just stir the pot, it invented the recipe. Al Bundy, the perpetually miserable shoe salesman, and his hilariously dysfunctional family gave us a cynical, no-holds-barred view of suburban life.
Howdy, neighbor!
Yeah. I hate these people.
Far from the idealistic families we were used to seeing, the Bundys were crude, selfish, and unapologetically outrageous. From Al's endless jabs at women to Peggy's obsession with shopping and avoiding housework, the show was a masterclass in pushing the boundaries of acceptable TV. Family values groups were quick to rally against it, accusing the show of promoting everything from misogyny to anti-family sentiment. Religious organizations condemned its use of risque humor and sexual innuendo, demanding boycotts and protests. But the controversy only fueled its popularity. Al's sarcastic quips and Peggy's refusal to fit the perfect wife mold became rallying cries for viewers tired of picture-perfect sitcoms.
Kelly, breakfast! And be quiet, honey, don't wake your father!
Despite, or maybe because of, the backlash, Married with Children became a defining sitcom of its time. It tore down the squeaky clean image of the American family and replaced it with a chaotic, brutally honest one that audiences couldn't get enough of. Love it or hate it, the show's irreverence paved the way for the edgy, boundary-pushing comedies that followed. Number 11. The Day After, 1983. If there was ever a TV show to haunt an entire generation, it was The Day After. This grim, harrowing depiction of nuclear war and its aftermath didn't just air, it shook the nation to its core. Premiering at the height of the Cold War, The Day After wasn't just entertainment, it was a wake-up call. The story unfolds in a small Kansas town that's obliterated by a Soviet nuclear strike. Sparing no details about the terrifying effects of radiation sickness, crumbled infrastructure, and social collapse. With nearly 100 million viewers glued to their screens, the film ignited national anxiety. Families huddled together, knowing all too well that the nightmare unfolding on their screens felt disturbingly possible. Schools, workplaces, and even government offices buzzed with urgent conversations about nuclear war and preparedness. The Day After didn't just make waves, it caused a tidal shift in public perception, forcing people to confront the terrifying reality of Cold War tensions. The emotional fallout was so intense that ABC followed up the broadcast with a special panel discussion to help viewers process the trauma. This wasn't just a TV moment, it was a cultural turning point, influencing policy discussions and fueling anti-nuclear activism. Even now, The Day After's remembered not just as a movie, but as a gut-wrenching snapshot of Cold War fears that resonated with an entire generation. Number 10. Miami Vice, 1984 to 1989. At first glance, Miami Vice seemed like just another flashy cop drama, but beneath the sleek suits, pastel colors, and roaring sports cars, the show offered a deeper, grittier look into drug violence, corruption, and moral ambiguity. Detectives Sonny Crockett and Ricardo Tubbs weren't just chasing criminals. They were immersed in Miami's dangerous underworld, where right and wrong were often indistinguishable. Miami Vice captivated audiences with its distinct style, but it also ignited controversy for its portrayal of crime and law enforcement. While fans loved the thrilling car chases, gunfights, and atmospheric soundtracks, critics worried about how the show blurred the lines between cops and criminals. Law enforcement officers in Miami Vice were often shown bending the rules, raising concerns that the show normalized police misconduct. Moreover, it glamorized the lavish lifestyles of drug lords, complete with fast cars, exotic locations, and designer clothes, sparking backlash for promoting materialism and excess. Despite these concerns, Miami Vice became a cultural phenomenon. Its iconic fashion, use of contemporary music, and cinematic storytelling reshaped television, inspiring future crime dramas and defining an entire aesthetic of the 1980s. It wasn't just a TV show, it was a trendsetter, leaving a lasting legacy that extended beyond the small screen. To this day, Miami Vice remains a touchstone of 80s pop culture, remembered for its style, swagger, and willingness to explore the darker side of paradise. Number 9. Roseanne, 1988 to 1997. Roseanne redefined the sitcom genre by introducing the Connors, a blue-collar family that didn't sugarcoat the hardships of everyday life.
Mom, where's my English book? I sold it!
At its heart was Roseanne Barr, whose brash, outspoken character was both a breath of fresh air and a magnet for controversy. Unlike traditional family sitcoms that focused on idealized domestic bliss, Roseanne tackled real-life issues like poverty, teen pregnancy, gender roles, and unemployment with unapologetic honesty. This raw portrayal resonated with many viewers who saw their own struggles reflected on screen for the first time. However, Barr's unfiltered performance and personal views often stirred public debate. The show's willingness to confront sensitive topics with humor and candor made it a lightning rod for criticism.
Mom, he started it!
Knock it off, you two.
Some found the show's depiction of working-class life empowering, while others were unsettled by its unpolished, blunt style. Barr's off-screen political comments also contributed to the show's divisiveness, with critics questioning whether her real-life persona overshadowed the show's message. Despite the controversies, Roseanne became a cultural landmark, praised for normalizing complex family dynamics and shining a light on issues often ignored by mainstream television. It challenged the sitcom mold by showing that not every family has to be perfect, or even polite, to be lovable. With its sharp humor and fearless storytelling, Roseanne remains one of the most iconic and influential shows of the 1980s, setting the stage for more nuanced portrayals of family life on TV. Number 8. Dynasty, 1981 to 1989. When it came to high drama, Dynasty set the standard. This iconic soap opera followed the lives of the wealthy Carrington family, brimming with opulence, betrayal, and scandalous affairs. The show gave viewers a peek into a world of extravagance, where characters schemed for power and love, creating some of the most memorable moments in television history. But what truly set Dynasty apart was its attempt to break new ground by introducing a gay character, Steve Carrington, a rarity in 1980s television. While Steven's storyline was significant for representation, it was also controversial. The show often portrayed his sexuality inconsistently, suggesting at times that it was something to be fixed or minimized to fit societal expectations. This wavering approach drew criticism from both the LGBTQ+ community, who sought more authentic representation, and conservative viewers uncomfortable with the topic altogether. Beyond its groundbreaking elements, Dynasty thrived in controversy for its portrayal of wealth and moral ambiguity. Characters were rewarded for deceit and manipulation, flipping traditional moral lessons on their head. These themes unsettled some conservative audiences, but the show's unapologetic embrace of excess made it a hit. Cliffhangers, extravagant catfights, and larger-than-life characters, particularly the feuding Alexis Colby and Crystal Carrington, kept viewers glued to their seats. Despite the mixed reactions, Dynasty became one of the defining dramas of the decade, cementing itself as a pop culture phenomenon. Its influence extended far beyond television, inspiring fashion trends and setting the tone for future primetime soap operas. Number 7. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, 1983 to 1985. At first glance, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe seemed like a harmless cartoon designed to entertain kids. But beneath its colorful animation and epic battles, the show stirred considerable controversy.
My energy power finish you!
Critics argued that He-Man wasn't just a TV series. It was essentially a 30-minute toy commercial. Mattel, the toy company behind the franchise, capitalized on a loophole in children's advertising regulations to develop the show, creating a powerful synergy between programming and product sales. This sparked concern among advocacy groups who saw it as corporate exploitation of children, marking He-Man as a prime example of the growing commercialization of kids' television. The show's controversies didn't end there. While He-Man never killed his enemies, the battles were frequent and intense, leading to criticism that the cartoon promoted violence as a way to solve conflicts. Parents and educators worried that these recurring scenes, sword fights, magic blasts, and hand-to-hand combat, could encourage aggressive behavior among young viewers. Despite these concerns, the series had built-in safeguards. He-Man always delivered a moral lesson at the end of each episode, reinforcing themes like bravery, friendship, and kindness. But criticism didn't stop He-Man from becoming a cultural juggernaut. Kids everywhere chanted the iconic line, "By the power of Grayskull!"
By the power of Grayskull!
As they reenacted He-Man's heroic transformations with their action figures. The show's characters, including Skeletor, Teela, and Orko, became household names, leaving an indelible mark on the 1980s. Beyond the controversy, He-Man stood out as a symbol of childhood empowerment, offering a sense of adventure and excitement in a larger-than-life fantasy world. Despite its brief run, the impact of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe transcended generations. The controversy surrounding it even sparked discussions about ethics in children's programming, influencing future regulations on TV advertising. Love it or hate it, He-Man remains a beloved and influential piece of 80s pop culture, forever tied to the golden era of Saturday morning cartoons. Number 6. The Cosby Show, 1984 to 1992. The Cosby Show is often celebrated for shattering racial stereotypes and introducing mainstream audiences to a successful African-American family. At its core, the show followed the Huxtables, Cliff, a doctor, and Claire, a lawyer, who navigated the ups and downs of parenting their 5 children with humor, love, and discipline. Its portrayal of an educated, financially stable black family was groundbreaking, countering the negative depictions of African Americans that were common in the media at that time. The show's cultural significance was immense. It played a key role in changing perceptions of race in America, showcasing that family values, humor, and personal struggles were universal experiences. It also opened the doors for future black-led sitcoms, such as The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Family Matters. At the height of its success, The Cosby Show topped television ratings, uniting audiences of all backgrounds with its heartwarming and funny take on family life. However, the show's legacies become deeply complicated due to the real-life actions of its star, Bill Cosby. In the years following its conclusion, multiple women came forward with allegations of sexual assault against Cosby, casting a dark shadow over the show's reputation. Fans, networks, and critics found it difficult to reconcile the positive impact of The Cosby Show with the serious allegations against its lead actor. The revelations prompted a re-examination of the show, with many questioning how to celebrate its cultural significance while acknowledging the harm caused by Cosby. Despite these complexities, The Cosby Show remained a pivotal piece of television history. It changed the narrative surrounding African American families and redefined the family sitcom for a generation, leaving an indelible mark on pop culture. However, the controversy surrounding Cosby's actions serves as a reminder that the legacies of influential figures are often multifaceted, forcing society to grapple with both the good and the bad. Number 5. The A-Team, 1983 to 1987.
The A-Team.
The A-Team was the ultimate action-packed adventure series, delivering over-the-top explosions, thrilling shootouts, and outrageous stunts in nearly every episode. Kids and adults alike couldn't get enough of the charismatic team of misfit mercenaries. Colonel John Hannibal Smith, Faceman Peck, B.A. Baracus, and Howling Mad Murdoch, who solved problems with a mix of brute force, clever disguises, and a knack for building elaborate contraptions out of junk. Despite being on the run from the military, this rogue team of ex-soldiers was always ready to help those in need. However, the A-Team sparked significant controversy. Critics took issue with the show's high levels of violence, pointing out the absurdity of endless shootouts where no one ever seemed to get hurt. The implausible action sequences, while fun, raised concerns about glamorizing violence and potentially desensitizing young viewers. Advocacy groups questioned the message it sent to children, worrying that the lighthearted tone downplayed the seriousness of real-world violence. Despite the backlash, the A-Team became a massive cultural phenomenon. At the heart of the show's appeal was Mr. T's unforgettable portrayal of B.A. Baracus, complete with gold chains and the iconic catchphrase, "I pity the fool." The show also emphasized teamwork, resourcefulness, and loyalty, with the characters' creative problem-solving making them beloved heroes to millions of viewers. Even today, the A-Team stands as one of the most iconic action shows of the 80s. Its blend of action, humor, and camaraderie captured the spirit of the decade, leaving a lasting legacy in pop culture. Whether you remember the explosions or the quippy one-liners, the A-Team made it clear. If you had a problem, if no one else can help, if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team. Number 4. Three's Company, 1977 to 1984. Though it began in the late 70s, Three's Company thrived throughout the early 80s, continuing to stir controversy as it became one of the most beloved sitcoms of the era. The show's premise, a man, Jack Tripper, living platonically with two single women, challenged traditional social norms and raised plenty of eyebrows. At the same time, cohabitation between unmarried men and women was still a taboo subject, and conservative critics were quick to accuse the show of promoting promiscuity. Adding fuel to the fire, Jack pretended to be gay to avoid eviction, a storyline that sparked mixed reactions in an era still grappling with LGBTQ+ representation. Three's Company didn't shy away from suggestive humor, relying heavily on double entendres, sexual innuendos, and comedic misunderstandings that kept audiences hooked. However, this same humor often drew criticism from family-oriented groups, who felt that the show crossed the line of what was appropriate for primetime television. Some networks even faced backlash from local affiliates uncomfortable with airing such content. Despite the controversy, Three's Company became a ratings juggernaut. Audiences loved the slapstick humor, quirky characters, and farcical situations, making it one of the most watched shows of its time. The chemistry between the cast, particularly John Ritter, Suzanne Summers, and Joyce DeWitt, was a key part of the show's charm. By the time it ended in 1984, Three's Company had cemented itself as a television classic. Its success paved the way for future sitcoms that explored non-traditional relationships and risque humor, leaving a lasting mark on TV comedy. Love it or hate it, Three's Company showed that laughter could break boundaries, even when it made people uncomfortable. Number 3. Soap, 1977 to 1981. Long before shows like Will and Grace entered the mainstream, Soap was breaking new ground by tackling taboo topics head-on, including homosexuality, infidelity, and even interspecies relationships. The show centered on the absurdly complicated lives of two families, the Tates and the Campbells, and brilliantly parried the melodrama of traditional soap operas. What truly set Soap apart was the character of Jody Dallas, played by Billy Crystal. Jody was one of the first openly gay characters on American television, making the show a lightning rod for controversy. From the start, Soap faced fierce backlash from conservative and religious groups. They labeled the show immoral and called for boycotts, with many arguing that it wasn't suitable for network TV. Some affiliates even refused to air it, fearing it would offend viewers. Jody's storyline, though groundbreaking, was inconsistent, sometimes treated with sensitivity, other times with awkward comedy. Still, Soap was a major milestone for LGBTQ+ representation, setting the stage for more inclusive shows in the future. Beyond its portrayal of a gay character, Soap was fearless in mocking societal norms. It addressed complex topics like mental health, adultery, and family dysfunction, blending humor with satire to reflect the chaotic realities of life. The show's irreverent tone and outlandish plot lines, including possessions and alien abductions, pushed the limits of what network television had ever dared to air. Though it lasted only 4 seasons, Soap made a lasting impact on television history. It paved the way for future shows to embrace controversial themes and diverse characters. Today, it's remembered as both a cult classic and a trailblazer, demonstrating that television could entertain, challenge, and provoke, often all at once. Number 2. Dallas, 1978 to 1991. Few television shows captivated public attention quite like Dallas. It dominated airwaves with its larger-than-life characters and jaw-dropping twists. But it was the infamous "Who Shot JR" storyline that became a cultural phenomenon. When J.R. Ewing, the ruthless and conniving oil tycoon, was shot in the 3rd season finale, the mystery gripped the nation, sparking one of the most memorable cliffhangers in TV history. For months, viewers speculated about the shooter's identity, cementing Dallas as must-watch television. But Dallas was far more than a single mystery. It was a groundbreaking exploration of wealth, power, and family dysfunction. The Ewings epitomized excess, with their sprawling South Fork ranch and constant scheming for control of Ewing oil. The show wasn't afraid to lean into the darker aspects of human nature. Greed, infidelity, betrayal, and manipulation were recurring themes, and the characters were often rewarded for their unethical behavior. This moral ambiguity made Dallas controversial, as some critics argued it glamorized immorality. Despite the backlash, it was precisely this portrayal of flawed characters that drew viewers in. Audiences were hooked by the intense rivalries, power struggles, and tangled relationships between the Ewings. Dallas didn't just entertain, it set a new standard for primetime drama, influencing future shows with its serialized storytelling and larger-than-life cliffhangers. Beyond its influence on the soap opera genre, Dallas became a cultural touchstone, reshaping how television approached long-form storytelling. With its compelling drama and unforgettable characters, Dallas redefined the way audiences experience TV, leaving a legacy that endures to this day. Number 1. Alf, 1986 to 1990. Rounding out our list is Alf, the quirky sitcom about a sarcastic alien named Gordon Shumway, better known as Alf, who crash lands on Earth and moves in with the suburban Tanner family. While Alf was marketed as a family-friendly show, it wasn't without controversy. Beneath the cute, fuzzy exterior was a character known for his sharp wit, biting sarcasm, and subtle innuendos. Many of Alf's jokes flew over the heads of younger viewers, but parents quickly caught on to the more mature humor, sparking some backlash about whether the show was appropriate for kids. Alf also raised eyebrows with its darker undertones. From constant jokes about eating the family cat to his disdain for human rules and customs, Al often towed the line between silly and unsettling. Some parents felt that his mischievous behavior and cynical attitude weren't the best influence on young viewers. Yet, it was precisely this irreverent humor and offbeat charm that made Alf an icon of 80s television. Despite the controversy, Alf became a beloved part of pop culture, inspiring toys, lunchboxes, and even animated spin-offs. The show's blend of sci-fi absurdity and suburban sitcom tropes resonated with audiences, and Al's famous one-liners like "no problem" became part of the 80s lexicon. His unique brand of humor, along with the show's focus on family dynamics and acceptance, struck a chord with millions of viewers. Though Alf only lasted 4 seasons, its impact on television comedy endures. Even decades later, the mischievous alien's antics remain fondly remembered by fans. Whether you loved him or found him a little too cheeky, there's no denying that Alf left a lasting mark on 80s pop culture, and he did it with style. These 12 TV shows from the 80s didn't just entertain, but sparked debates and left a lasting impact on those who grew up watching them. Which one stirred up the most memories for you? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more nostalgic deep dives like this. See you next time.